Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Municipality of Monroeville Zoning Hearing Board meeting for Wednesday, February 2nd, 2022. I'd like you to all stand for the Pledge of Allegiance and remain standing for a moment of silence. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. You may be seated. Sharon, roll call, please.
Excuse me. Mr. Rosapel?
Here.
Mr. Griziak?
Here.
Mr. D'Agostino?
Here.
Mr. Gatos?
Here.
Ms. Wilkins?
Here.
Mr. Dice?
Here.
Mr. Weldon?
Here. Thank you. Mr. Dice, if you would, please, for
Yes,
reorganization.
tonight is the date and time set for the reorganization of the Zoning Hearing Board of the Municipality of Monroeville. A motion is in order at this time to elect a chairman, and that would be done with a motion with a name.
I'd like to make a motion to name Jim Rosenthal as chairman.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? None.
Thank you.
Jim?
Thank you, Board.
You're elected chairman again.
Thank you. Okay, I have a motion. I'm looking for a motion for Gary Griziak or any other person for vice chair.
I'll make a motion for it.
I'll second it.
Moved and seconded. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Mr. Griziak, you're in the same position, vice chairman.
Thank you.
And the third is for secretary. I'll take a motion on that with a name.
I'll make a motion for Larry
I'll second that motion.
You might want to give his last name.
D'Agostino.
Okay, moved and seconded. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Larry, you're back in your chair.
Thank you.
All right, that closes the reorganization part of the meeting. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, now I'll entertain one more motion, the approval of the minutes of last month, or the month before's meeting.
I'll make a motion for approval.
I will second that motion.
Moved and seconded. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Minutes are approved. Moving into new business. Paul, please.
First item tonight is 22-1-A, Aaron Bloom. Applicant requests a variance from section 210 fences of the Monroeville zoning ordinance number 1443 as amended to construct a 6-foot-tall solid fence in the front yard of the property that faces Griffin Road. The property address is 301 Longview Drive, tax parcel 543H178, and is a corner lot with 2 front yards in the R2 one-family residential zoning district.
Thank you. Is the applicant present?
Yes.
Would you please come up and sign in, please? State your name for the secretary.
My name is Aaron Blum, AARON BLUM.
Thank you. Would you state your, raise your right hand first, please. Do you swear the testimony you're about to give this board this evening shall be the whole truth and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
State your case.
I'm a first-time home buyer here to the community. We moved from Oakmont. We have essentially 2 front yards that have been, that's part of this because it's a corner lot. I have 2 young children. One of them is a terrible runner. And I would like to just have a privacy area that is our backyard, even though it is facing the front yard there. And as well as I'd like to put in a really nice Japanese garden there. I have over 100 bonsai trees. It's an important part of my life, and I just want to keep my property and my children safe in that area. That's all.
That's all you have?
Yep.
Present? Okay. Is there anybody in the audience that wishes to come forward? Okay, I'm going to have you come up one at a time. I'm going to swear you in, and you'll give your testimony. You can be seated. You'll have a rebuttal. Could you please just come up to the podium and sign in, please, and state your name for the secretary?
Diane Maschalk. An address? Do you need the address?
That's okay.
Just need it for
Just your name.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
And just give,
Can you spell your last name for the secretary, please?
Maschok.
okay, would you raise your right hand, please? You swear the testimony you're about to give this board this evening shall be the whole truth and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you. Go ahead.
Okay, I don't have any specific written things I want to say, so everything I say will come from my heart,
Okay.
okay? My yard, my front yard, is directly across the road from where he wants to put his fence. This is what I would have to look at all the time. I have pictures of my front yard here that I can show you if anybody would
You know,
like to see.
you can lay them right in the middle.
Right on that X.
little
On the
black
X?
box,
Yep.
yeah.
The one on the edge, yeah.
One at a time?
Yeah, and you
Okay.
can point out what you're talking about. Now, is your house on Griffin or is it on
My
Longview?
house is on Griffin,
On Griffin,
1505
okay.
Griffin. It's directly across.
Okay,
Our driveways meet, actually, okay? But this is a picture of my front yard and looking out onto Griffin Road. This is my sidewalk and Griffin Road, and that's what I would be looking at, a 6-foot-high solid fence. Our neighborhood was built in the 50s, okay? Everybody in our neighborhood keeps their place really nice. People come to see me, they go, wow, your neighborhood is very nice, okay? Everybody takes care of it, it looks good. Ordinance 1443 states, I did have a note here for reminders, that the purpose of the ordinance is for the beauty, safety, okay? It says for the pleasant, attractive, healthy, safe of residences and neighborhoods to be that, all right? I understand in a rear yard, you can have a 4-foot fence, 4 foot high. Front yards with a variance, but it would still have to be open fencing in a front yard, okay? But this is what I would be looking at. This is another picture of my front. This is at the end of my driveway, looking across the road at that property. I don't, that's not a very good picture. Let me see. It's not a very, not picking it up real good is what I can show here. Okay. The other side of my house, my rear yard, there's a house on Step Drive that has a 6-foot-high solid fencing that goes the whole way their backyard. This is what I look at when I look out my windows. This fence that goes completely up. And as you can see what happens to fencing, it looks crappy after a while. And this is what I look at out the other side of my house. I don't want to look at this out the front of my house. That, you know, I try to keep the place nice. This is what I would be looking at out of the front of my yard. Our street is a hill also, all right? There's a crest at the top that comes right at the top of my yard. When I come down my road, I go very slowly, because I don't know if a car's coming up the road too far in the middle or too whatever, so I'm very careful, always been. I've had people bring me home in a snowstorm and get to the top of my hill and panic because they say, I can't go down that hill, I can't go down that hill. And I go, sure you do, you know, you can do it, you can do it. But it is a dangerous road as far as that crest of that hill. If he puts up a fence, a 6-foot-high solid fence, the neighbor next to him isn't going to have a sight coming out of their driveways. It is going to be accidents happening on that road. Besides the fact that it's going to be hideous, property values are going down because I wouldn't buy a house looking at a fence like that. I've been there almost 54 years. There's been tons of young families that have raised families in our property. House was built in 55, my house. I moved in 68. Tons of young families with children. Never had a problem with people putting 6-foot-high fences in their front yards. I raised a son. I never had a fence along my road. You know, he was born and raised there. Young people that were young when we moved in have moved out. Other families have come in and raised small families. No fences. You know, so I just don't see the purpose of it. You know, we have a great neighborhood, and everybody takes care of their stuff, and this would break my heart.
Thank you.
I guess that's about all I have to say.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next person, do you have any order? You want to come up? Come up to the microphone, please. Sign in and state your name to the secretary. Give your name to the secretary, please.
My name is Bill Gross.
Thank you.
Okay, you want to move over in front of the microphone?
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
That's good. Did you sign in?
Yes,
Okay, thank you.
Gross is my last name. I live on 222 Longview Drive, which
Oh, I'm going to
is,
swear you in, I'm sorry. You swear the testimony you're about to give this board this evening shall be the whole truth and nothing but the truth?
you betcha.
Okay, thank you.
Now, I live, like I said, on 222 Longview Drive. It's at the bottom of the hill, facing Diane's house, going up. I sit on my front porch a lot. I've been retired for 16 years. When I'm done all my chores and do everything at the house, I like to sit out with my cat, cold bottle of beer, and enjoy myself. And I like to look at the view at the top of the hill. I don't want to look at a 6-foot fence. When I had a summer home in Pymatuming, for 14 years, I had to look at a 12-foot fence that a guy put up. Finally, it was tore down. I think it would be a deterrent to the neighborhood. I have nothing against Mr. Bloom. I think he's a fine gentleman. He just moved in. I met him on Halloween with his children. I raised 3 kids. All of them ran around the neighborhood, never had a problem. And I don't think we'll have another problem. I understand the kids are terrible and they do run out. You have to watch them. And only thing I have to say is I don't want to look at it. The gentleman down on Step put the one that she showed you in the back. I don't have to see it, but I know a lot of my neighbors do have to see it, and they don't like it. But there's nothing that they can do about it because I assume it's in the backyard. I would have not liked to seen it go up. Personally, if he wants to put a fence up, it's wide open that you can see through, that's different. But I don't want to see a solid fence up. That's what I got to say.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next, whoever's coming up? Is that all we have? Want to sign in, please, and
Yes,
state your name?
sir. Name is Rick Atwood, ATWOD. I know I'm not allowed to ask specific.
Raise your right hand, please.
Yep.
You swear the testimony you're about to give this board this evening shall be the whole truth and nothing but the truth?
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
I know I'm not allowed to ask the applicant specific questions, but Paul, do you have a site plan or a picture of where the proposed fence is going to be? Is there a way that we can I look at that?
Sure, you can
We're
put it
gonna
on
up
the,
on the screen?
Okay. That's why I'm here. This actually This picture is
It'll pick it
actually,
up. It'll pick it up. There you go.
so I live directly next door. I am this house right here.
Okay.
My driveway literally follows this yellow line all the way back to the rear of my property.
Okay.
My issue with this fence, and let me preface this by saying, I don't believe that anybody, government, neighbors, I don't generally believe that anybody should have an opinion or a say-so on what you do on your property. It's your property. That being said, I'm not gonna be able to get out of my driveway. This completely blocks my entire line of sight for 300, 400, 500 yards going down the hill. There's absolutely zero chance of me getting out of my driveway. Now, this looks like a small neighborhood, but I can tell you in the 10 or so years that I have lived there, Griffin Road, a ton of traffic comes down Griffin Road. So I understand his concern about his kids' safety. Ton of traffic comes down Griffin Road to the remainder of this neighborhood here. For some reason, Griffin Road is the cut through and they don't take James Street to Longview, and that's irrelevant. I need to be able to see to get out of my driveway. My daughter's gonna start driving next year. She needs to be able to see to get out of the driveway. She needs to, I mean, is there a reason? I know I can't ask him directly, but Mr. Chairman, if you wouldn't mind asking, is there a reason that we can't do the fence, towards this line and heading back to the rear of the property? Pretty much what would be considered a backyard if he wasn't a corner lot?
Oh, we're going to get into that, Richard. I'm sorry. We're gonna
Yeah,
get into
I
that
mean,
at the end of the
like I
testimony.
said, I'm in a quagmire here because I don't believe I should be here, but I also believe I should be able to egress my property. And the way this red line shows, there's going to be an accident. I can tell you that with absolute certainty, there is going to be an accident.
Sir, which house is yours again, please?
I'm 1506 Griffin, so I'm actually, that's Longview, so I lied. I'm right here. I looked at the map upside down. So my driveway is coming right here. I don't know if you can see, yeah. So these trees right here are the pine trees at the entrance to my driveway. So I'm and I'm coming around this way.
Okay.
So when I'm backing out of the driveway, there's just zero chance of seeing the traffic that's coming up the hill. There's just, it's not gonna happen. Now, I'm not opposed to, if we were to move this line backwards, maybe this way. But again, there is the aesthetics in the neighborhood and I don't even know if streetscape comes into place for a neighborhood thing, but like I said, my concern is the safety of me and my kid being able to pull in and out of the driveway. I get my neighbor's concerns about the aesthetics of it. I'm not gonna share my opinion on that. My opinion is purely safety-based, and that is going to be an issue.
Okay.
That's all.
Is that all you have?
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thanks,
Thank
Rick.
you.
Anybody else wish to speak? You sign in, please, and state your name for the secretary.
Ron Mastrok. I'm Diane's husband. I totally agree with everything everybody said. And it's, just don't need a fence.
Oh, I'm going to swear you in, Ron, I'm sorry.
Oh, okay.
I was in a process of writing here. Raise your right hand, please. Do you swear the testimony you're about to give to this board this evening shall be the whole truth and nothing but the truth?
Truth.
Thank you. Go ahead, I'm sorry.
Yeah, everything, we don't need a fence that high, that close to the road. It's just ridiculous. I mean, you could put a cyclone fence up where you could see through, back on by your house closer. But it's not right. Just not right. That's all I got to say.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Anybody else wish to come forward? Seeing none, the board have any questions?
Paul, is there anything else from other neighbors or any correspondence?
No, I had one phone call, but she already gave her testimony this evening.
Thank you.
Any of the other board members have anything to question? All right, we looked at this in the room before we came out, and we have a few questions that Mr. Dice is going to ask of the applicant if the possibility exists on some of our questions. Would you come back forward again, please? Mr. Dice, if you
Yeah,
would.
you want to take this and
I think I have one.
No,
We want you to look at this one.
Okay.
We drew on this one.
and put it down on the,
Yeah, set it right
Can I
on it.
interrupt you really quick? I forgot to mention that, right where the one line is that I was telling you is gonna be an issue, that's the water authority's right of way also. The main line goes right underneath where that fence is gonna be.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Dice?
all right, you see the drawing that we just handed you? You see that blue line that I put across there?
Yes, sir.
The board was looking at this a little bit along the lines of Mr. Atwood's comments, moving the fence back. You see where the line is on there.
Yes.
Is that something that could be done?
Well, first of all, let me say,
How about starting out with yes or no, and then you can,
I am perfectly willing to move the site of the fence.
okay. Well, that's important.
Okay.
Rick, come on up here. Just get up here and take a look at that. You see the blue line? Does that
One of
help?
them has a line. cut
Yeah.
off.
Still covers cuts his
That's-
driveway.
I
This,
still don't
this
think that's gonna
corner,
help.
this corner right here where my finger is literally the mouth of my driveway. That's my point of egress.
Okay.
So I mean, if,
Maybe the type of fence.
I'm gonna uncap this pen really quickly.
Type of fence, maybe not a
I mean, I technically wouldn't have an issue with something along those lines if you can see that, because then I would be able to, 10, 15, 20 feet, I would be able to see down the street. But as your line is, Mr. Dice, and as the red line is, there's zero chance of me coming out of that
Okay.
driveway at any point in the day where I'm not concerned about something.
I understand, okay.
What about a different type of construction, a different type of fencing? Would you be open for something of that nature?
So yes, I think that I am willing to change a lot of things. One of the reasons that I want this horizontal fence is that is standard for like a Japanese garden, all these bonsai trees and things like that. I completely understand the concerns of this thing looking hideous from the outside, and I never intended that to be the only thing that's on the outside. I think that the illustration here is already out further than I want the fence, closer to the road. I would like to pull it back and put landscaping in there in front of the fence to soften it up. And I'm even wanting to make the portion facing Longview a 4-foot fence so that people can look at the trees and I can look out over the land there. So really, I want a 6-foot fence in this area and this area. Now, Mr. Atwood, I believe is correct. He's not gonna be able to see out of it, and I was certainly going to talk to him about this. Because he also parks his truck up there, and I think that I want you to be able to park your truck where you always park it. I don't have any problem with that. If you've got safety issues coming out of the driveway, we need to address that
Okay.
in whatever way we can.
It sounds like everybody has a rule of reason. We're not trying to be necessarily adversarial about this. My suggestion would be that you should meet with these people. We could continue this matter until next month. Let him meet with the representatives, you know who they are now. And I think that meeting should take place at Paul's office with Paul Weldon. And I would suggest that you sit down and see if you can come up with a drawing
Okay.
that will be acceptable and a product that may be chain link or something separate than a solid fence. There's some pretty nice looking kinds of chain link fences that would look nice with bonsai trees too. I would suggest.
I'm not really willing to do.
Or
I'm allowed, I'm willing to do a lot of things, but
How about a
the,
combination?
well, I think, something like a picture window fence or something that's not completely solid that can stagger and
Okay,
have holes or
that's what I
something
think you
that-
guys should sit and talk about. We could table this till next month, let them try to come up with some sort of rationale for what the applicant wants. I want you to know, as an applicant, variances are very difficult to get. You have to actually show some sort of hardship. You've got a piece of property and you're using it as a residence now. There's really no hardship that exists here. On the other hand, if you can satisfy some of these people and make it so that you can come back in with a product that everybody can agree to, this board might, and I'm speaking out of turn because I don't vote, may well vote to approve it. Right now, I don't think they would, and I want you to hear that. I want you to hear that it's in your best interest to meet with the representatives or the residents and see if you can work out an understanding on another drawing and a product.
The last thing I want to do is irritate all of you.
Okay.
I want to be cordial and nice with my neighbors. I don't want to put up a fence that's going to make you guys.
Go ahead,
Hate
you have
looking
something else
at
to
it.
say?
Would you be opposed to bringing this back similar
Here's what I
to
don't
the
wanna
blue
do.
line?
I don't want to negotiate it here.
Yeah,
on
but
the
this
floor.
could end this right now. If he would be
I don't know
okay
if it's
to.
gonna end it for them. It
No,
ends
no,
it for you.
Let me finish.
I don't wanna look at what I showed
Lem-
you, this picture that I looked out my balcony.
If he would be okay with making it a 3-foot tall picket fence on Diane's side, on my point of egress side, a 3-foot tall picket fence handles his issue with his kids' well-being involved.
Sit down and talk with them. I mean, I appreciate what you're saying.
Okay.
So if it's the board's pleasure, I would suggest that you make a motion to table this matter to the next month meeting and don't close the testimony on it.
Okay, in a minute, let me tell you a couple things. Very seldom will we approve a 6-foot solid fence in Monroeville. Okay? Number one, it's not nice looking in a neighborhood. Number two, there's a safety feature. Police and fire must be able to see into that house, into that yard. And if you have a 6-foot high fence, maybe if you go a 4-foot high fence and some lattice work or something on top of it to finish it off, to dress it up or something, we might consider that.
Okay.
And I've been over there about 3 or 4 times in the past week. If you come up Griffin Road and look at your yard, your backyard, where the little trike is sitting and the swing set and everything, can't you move that fence over towards your house and over back away from Griffin?
Well, I think that technically is my backyard to some point, isn't it? I don't even need to get a variance for that? Isn't that correct?
Correct. If you brought it back parallel to Griffin Road to the corner of your house,
Right.
that would be the front yard. You could put a 6-foot high fence solid there and not need a variance.
I don't really want to do that. I'd rather put in a smaller fence that everybody could approve of. But I feel like if it came to that, I don't need approval from here. I can just put in a fence.
Well, why don't you do what Mr. Dice said, then hook up with the rest of these neighbors that have voiced an opinion here tonight,
Okay.
and then come back next month with the solution that you come or go in front of Paul, and Paul can bring it to the...
Oh, do we know what the date is for our meeting next month?
It's the first Wednesday.
Well, let's make sure we tell everybody what it is.
March 2nd?
Second.
March 2nd. So that would be this matter, if what I think is going to happen, there's going to be a motion to table the matter till March 2nd. If that happens, we'll convene again at 7:30 PM next March 2nd. So is there a motion to table?
I'll make that motion, please, to table this matter.
I don't even need a second, do I?
Yes, you do.
Oh, do I? Okay, the motion's been made to table. May I have a second, please?
I'll second.
Okay, moved and seconded for a tabling of this to be brought up next month.
The record remains open.
Yeah, it remains open. There'll be no further testimony on it this evening.
All those in favor, say aye.
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 Thank you.
Thank you,
So
folks.
you're tabled till then.
Good luck.
Feel free to give me a call tomorrow or email or something, we'll set this up.
Sure.
If anybody else would like to leave now, you can go ahead and leave. I'll hold up starting the
Unless
next
you
one.
like to watch this stuff.
Unless you'd like to sit and watch.
You're welcome to stay.
I want to thank the board.
Thank you.
Thank you. You're quite welcome.
We know where she's at.
No matter what we do, folks, somebody doesn't like it, so. Okay, Paul, new business, number 2.
Item 2, 22-2-A Glenwood condominiums. Applicant requests a variance from section 210 fences of the Monroeville zoning ordinance number 1443 as amended to construct a 6-foot-tall solid fence in the front yard of the property that faces Old William Penn Highway. The property address is 500 Lakewood Drive, tax parcel 977E393, and is a corner lot with 2 front yards in the R3 multifamily residential zoning district.
Okay, thank you. Is the applicant present? Come up, please. Sign in and state your name to the secretary.
Which one?
Nope.
Doesn't matter which one, as long as you sign in.
Okay. Norman Cavalli, Kovaly.
Thank you.
I,
Would you raise your right hand, please?
Sure.
You swear the testimony you're about to give this board this evening shall be the whole truth and nothing but the truth?
yes, sir.
Go ahead.
I have pictures. I think you guys have pictures. I saw your photographer there. I wasn't sure.
You can put them right on that black box, one at a
Okay, I
time.
have a package for everyone if you want it, or
No problem.
should I just pass them out?
Sure.
It just has the 2 pictures I have.
Thank you.
First four on the back.
Thank you.
I don't need any, but make sure the court reporter gets one.
Thank you, sir.
We'll make that an exhibit, that packet of pictures, in this case. Go ahead.
Okay, luckily it's not a similar situation as the other area.
Sir, may I interrupt you for 1 second?
Yes, sir.
Would you be able to
I
give
can
one of
take
these
it.
brochures to to the gentleman who was just left here?
I was thinking that. I can, if you want,
Well, there's
I have
some,
it
there's some attractive fences in here. It just caught my
you know, and I'll take, I have an extra one right here. I'll go give it to him.
Thank you.
Here, give it to me, I'll take
Yeah,
it.
we'll hold on you.
Okay. There's a couple.
May save 2 problems.
Sorry for the interruption.
That's a good idea.
Oh, okay, so, the fence that we are in question of asking is on page 6. It is called the Hefner. It is a 6-foot solid fence, but we're not in the middle of a neighborhood. As you can see in this picture,
Which one is it?
picture 1, I'm putting up now.
Just put her on the air.
Oh, I'm sorry, about the fence?
The
What's it
name-
called?
The name of
The
the
Hoffner. Hoffman?
Oh, the
Hefner.
Hefner, okay.
It's on page 6.
You Hefner anywhere.
All right.
Okay, now we're going.
And here's the color. We're going to choose sand. Beige. Okay.
Okay.
That's it. You're good. Beige. There's a few reasons why we are wanting to do this. I'm not sure you're all familiar with that stretch of Old William Penn. This is directly behind our community room and our maintenance shop. We store a lot of equipment back there, a lot of supplies. As you can see, the trees are dying off. We have power lines above them. And we do not want to replace them with trees.
How about putting number 1 on there, on the screen there, and he'll get a picture of it on the TV so everybody can see
Yeah,
it.
it's not,
There we go. And everybody can see what you're talking about.
okay, as you can see here, the trees are dying off. They happened for a while. This is behind our maintenance shop and our community room. We would like to roughly, it's 80 feet wide and it's 16 feet off of Old William Penn. And we'd like to continue that. We'd like to remove the trees that are here, the dying and dead ones. We would like to remove those, put in the 6-foot tall fence. It looks a mess right now if you guys have ever seen it in person. It looks bad. We get a lot of complaints about it. I think putting a fence there would be clean and neat. As you can see, we have limited, as I actually put in that pack, limited things we could plant under power lines. I'm guessing 40 years ago, they really didn't care what they put under the power lines, but now, which I have a list, and for the, so we can't put the giant evergreens back. As you can see in this next picture, number 2 that you guys have, these 2 trees are topped already. They just came and topped those trees. The bottoms are dying out, and we're just having a lot of problems. So we like to just put the clean, straight line. It's not in a neighborhood. It's parallel to Old William Penn Highway. And another thing, which I'll go back to one here, our bottom entranceway is right here. And what the other people were saying, this is the exact opposite. This would actually free up the line of sight for pulling out of Glenwood. I think Monroeville did a traffic study a few years because there was complaints about pulling out of there. I live there as well. I've lived there for over 30 years. And even I have trouble making that left turn. This will clear up. If you see, the only one living tree that looks nice is the one that's doing the blocking. So that would be removed as well. And just a clean, straight fence. It'll probably get you 30 more feet up the road for seeing traffic. Because if you look left, look right, by the time you pull out, you look in your rearview mirror, there's a car there. But there's no accidents. So that's why Monroeville didn't want to put a sign or stop sign or anything, because there's a lot of close calls, I guess.
On picture 2, it looks like there's the little entry there, the brick wall.
Yes. There's a.
Is there the fence going to be even once you take those trees down? Is the fence going to be even with that wall?
It's going to be a little bit, that is 4 foot. The fence, the brick wall is, I think, roughly 4 foot. So it's going to be, hopefully.
But it's going to start right at the end of the.
When it starts?
It's going to start at the end of the brick, though?
We're going to have a slight gap.
But it's going to be even with it, though?
Yeah,
Not
it's going to
front,
be.
not behind
Yeah,
it?
It'll be in line with it.
Yeah.
Yes, it's going to be even with it.
Is there going to be any interference with the fire hydrant? You see in picture 2?
That's why I would like to leave a gap between the brick wall and the fence.
So the
This
fire
picture,
hydrant would be right in the middle of where the fence is and the brick wall is, so there's access.
right, if they needed to get it from the backside. Actually, this picture 1, as you can see, picture 2, it looks like it's right there in picture 2.
Right.
If you look at picture 1, it's kind of off a little bit. It's
Yeah.
not as bad. It's kind of like a combination between the two. It's not that close and it's not that far away.
I didn't see it in picture 1, so, okay.
Yeah, picture 1, it's way off to the right. It looks like it won't even be anywhere near the fence, and that's more realistic than 2. 2 looks like it's going to be right on top of it.
What is the existing fence that's back there you can see in picture 1?
That is a wood privacy fence that someone threw up 20 years ago, and it's rotted and fallen down. Before you could never see it because the trees were so thick and full, but now you can see it. That's what that is there. That's been there for years. It's just.
So is that going to be taken down?
Yes.
then?
Take that.
Sir, what is across the street from Glenwood? Is there any residential areas?
Yeah, there's homes lining parallel with Old William Penn. There's our tree line, and that pretty much that looks like this the whole way up. We're looking to spend some money in the future to clean up that area. Old William Penn, who drove through Bass Glenwood for years because of numerous reasons. The trees get topped, they get diseased, they die off from the bottom. Road salt doesn't help. It's not. We've put money in it before with trying to do it with live plants, shrubs, trees. We've lost a lot. It's hard to get them started because you don't want to take out the few that are growing, so you put them in between to fill the gaps and try to make it look good, and they die anyways because they don't get any sun. So
This is the lower entrance, right?
this is, yes, sir, it's the lower entranceway.
Further up the hill by the stop sign.
Paul, is there anything from the neighbors across the street or anything?
I haven't received any correspondence from anyone.
So you heard the last case, people not wanting to see a 6-foot slab, solid slab. is there any, would you have any consideration to choosing one of these other style fences or going a 4-foot?
No, I can't hear him.
He's gonna relay the information.
Yeah,
Okay.
the houses on the street, they sit up, so they see over everything.
But it's still something that in
Line of view.
their line of view.
Right,
Sitting on a porch or something, I don't know if the porch is faced that way, but
what,
you have a beautiful entranceway, you have a nice brick wall there, and you're going to pick up that and put in a slab of vinyl.
yes, we think it would, our opinion would be it would look a lot cleaner and nicer for anyone's viewing than it does now. I think it would be an enhancement.
But wouldn't it be more enhancing if you had one of these other styles of fences in the brochure you provided to go with the brick?
The one reason we like the solid is because that is behind our workshop. And if you're gonna see through it, you're gonna see mulch, bulk material, garbage bags, trash cans. That's all behind our shop. I think your guy might have pictures of it.
Again, I wasn't talking about an open fence on, do you have the brochure?
I think I gave him one.
I think he's
So
referring
you
to maybe
got
do something like.
the Bond, the Willis,
The bond, specifically, that fence. Here, you can have this one.
I
I'll look at it.
have one.
You got it?
How much space is?
We're talking about, I
6.
believe you're talking about the one in the middle, right, Gary?
yeah, that or the Willis up there. with
You'd
the-
have
Oh,
at
the
least
bottom
4 to
4
5
feet
foot
would
high
be-
fence, solid fence.
I'm sorry?
And you'd have at least 4 to 5 feet solid fence, and the last foot would be the lattice work.
Can you put that on the table so the camera can pick that up so everybody can see? And give Jared a second, point to the one and he can zoom in on it. Which one are you talking about?
The middle one.
Put your finger on it.
They,
Okay, can you zoom in on that one, Jared? Now adjust slide that over so, look at the monitor and, yeah.
It's the one on the bottom. Can you bring that up a little bit, the one in the middle?
Push it away from you.
There you go, perfect.
That brown one.
this,
Yeah. That's the one we're talking about, that one or the next one up here to your,
with the gate, I say, okay, but well, apparently without the gate, of course. I mean, that would be up to my board of directors at the association, if that was,
we're trying to get away from businesses and private houses and everything looking like forts in Monroeville.
right.
Okay? We're trying to make everything as neat as we can, and that's what we're going for here, the same thing. We're not trying to deny you anything, but we're trying to ask you if you can maybe adjust to it, what you're asking, to make it look a little neater.
Right.
Go ahead, I'm sorry.
I couldn't give you an answer. It would be to the board of directors.
How often do the board of directors meet and when?
Monthly.
The end of the month?
End of the month, yeah,
End of the month?
yes.
Would you have any time constraints on this? Can you go to your board of directors and come back next month? We can just,
Same table it.
Well, we
we
could
can table it.
possibly table it and ask them if they can go with the Bond or the Willis.
Is that acceptable to you?
I just thought anything that would, see, the thing I'm thinking is, in my opinion, if I lived there, I wouldn't want to see what's behind the shop, even if it's a foot on top. The solid fence to me would be, you're not going to see anything. You're not going to see the trash, the mulch, the stone, the old broken down equipment, the pickup truck. Right now, you're seeing dead, dying trees. If you give them a window, they're gonna see right, I don't want the traffic, I don't want the neighbors to see I mean, we keep it as clean as we can, but it's still behind a garage. So,
Would there be any kind of landscaping you could put in front of the fence?
that's another thing we were
possibly,
gonna do to
or-
soften it up. Along, if I can put the picture back, number one, along here, picture one, on this list, there's deciduous trees that are approved for propane light approved for underneath power lines. We were going to do, if this all went through, we were going to put 3 flowering crab apples right at the fence, right behind it. So it wouldn't, the trunk would be there, it wouldn't hinder the line of sight from the pulling out of the entranceway, and you would have some nice flowering trees. So that would soften it up. In front of it, maybe a couple small shrubs, just to kind of tie it in with everything, so it's not just a cold fence. Because I do understand where you're coming from, it's a cold fence. From what our neighborhood sees, it's a nasty mess now. No fault of anyone, just time and nature.
Well, my view is that if, we could make a motion, right now I would make a motion to deny. But I would also be in favor of making a motion to continue, if you'd be willing to go back to your homeowners association or whatever, and just ask the question as to whether we could put something more aesthetically pleasing. Those other residents aren't here to speak, but we heard the testimony. We've had other fence cases, many fence cases, and this whole thing of a solid slab fort, as Jim would say, is just, it's a turnoff.
Yeah, I could go back to them. I mean,
Know how others.
So then a motion is in order to table it.
Yeah.
I'll make the motion to table
March.
to March 2nd.
Second.
Yes.
I'll second it.
Moved and seconded. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. Okay, so the record's going to remain open on this one as well. I understand you have to be back here on March 2nd
sure.
and tell us what your people are saying.
I'm sure one or two will come with me.
I don't care if you bring everybody.
Just saying, you know.
But my point is, you understand the flavor of the board, so you act accordingly. Okay?
And you can feel free to contact me. We can discuss this in my office over the phone. I would suggest more illustrations of what you propose, and maybe some sketches of landscaping in front of the fence as you described.
Yeah, the plan was to try to soften it up with flowering trees.
That's what I would come with is.
Okay, it's been tabled, so there'll be no more discussion.
All right, thank you.
Not to be ignorant, I'm sorry.
You might want to put a little drawing together of the deciduous trees you're going to be planting.
Okay,
We can work all that out.
okay. Thank you, Paul. Thank you. Thank you for that.
Number 3.
Number 3, 22-3-A Manila Group LLC. Applicant requests a variance from section 207.8 lot and yard requirements of the Monroeville zoning ordinance number 1443 as amended to permit off-street parking that will encroach approximately 20 feet into the required 30-foot front yard setback. The property is located at the intersection of Thompson Run Road and Fry Road, tax parcel 637J139 in the M2 Industrial Zoning District. There are two items back to back. You want to read them both in now?
Yeah,
or do
read them
separate?
both.
Item 4 is 22-4-A Manila Group LLC. Applicant requests a variance from Table 308 off-street parking requirements of the Monroeville zoning ordinance number 1443 as amended to reduce the number of parking spaces from the required 15 to 10. The property is located at the intersection of Thompson Run Road and Fry Road, tax parcel 637J139 in the M2 Industrial Zoning District.
Okay. Would you state your name?
Yes, Greg Banner.
Raise your right hand, please. You swear the testimony you're about to give this board this evening shall be the whole truth and nothing but the truth.
I do.
Proceed.
Is your drawing facing you?
I'm sorry?
Your drawing should be facing you.
Yeah, it's not upside, is it upside down as you're looking
Well,
at
it's
it?
facing me, should it be
Okay.
facing
That's
you?
okay.
Fine,
That's
fine.
perfect. Okay, sorry.
Okay. Hi, I'm here tonight. I'm with Key Environmental in Carnegie. I'm representing the applicant, Manila Group, tonight with me, should you have any questions. Marcelino Manila, the developer, as well as John and Susan Scaretti, the property owners. Now I'm going to make an introduction. The introduction is identical for both of these requests. So the Manila Group is proposing to develop a self-storage facility on property owned by John J. Susan M. Scaretti. It's located at the intersection of Fry Road and Thompson Run Road. The property is bordered on the east by Thompson Run Road, on the north by Fry Road. Both Fry Road and Thompson Run Road are state roads.
The rights-of-way for these roads extend from the outside edge of shoulder to the outside edge of shoulder. The property is zoned M2 Manufacturing Zoning District. Approximately 30% of the 4.15 acre parcel is occupied by Thompson Run on the west side of the property, and the 100-year floodplain, which comes up into this area.
When you say Thompson Run, you mean the creek, not the road?
That is correct.
All right, just clarifying, that's all.
So the width of the developable area within the property ranges from 0 at the southern end, a little bit off the paper here, to about 235 at the approximate north-south midpoint, with an average of about 150 feet. The self-storage facility is going to be developed in 2 phases. Phase 1 is going to consist of 5 one-story non-climate controlled buildings with a total of about 26,200 square feet. Building 1 will be used for recreational vehicle boat storage. Buildings 2 through 5 will be your typical, hate to use this term, garage style units. Building 6, which is 100 by 100, 10,000 square foot footprint, will be 3 stories, and it will be climate controlled. Now, Monroeville has determined that parking for the self-storage facility should be based on the warehouse use of Table 308, off-street parking requirements. And that requires that parking be provided at 1 space per 2,000 square feet of gross floor area. For buildings 1 through 5, with a 26,200 total square feet, a total of 14 spaces are provided. Now, as shown on the drawing here, we're actually proposing a number 26 spaces, considerably more than what's required for those. And these would be parallel spots, 10 feet wide, 20 feet long. So a person could pull up to their unit, park. You'd still have 15 feet of drive aisle so that somebody else, should they be there, could get around them. For the 3-story climate-controlled building, 15 spaces are required. Manila is proposing to reduce that number by 5 to a total of 10 spaces. Now, we've submitted a separate application, which we'll discuss after this, regarding reducing the number of parking spaces. Now, 6 of the parking spaces that we're proposing for Building 6 are in the front yard setback. Per Section 207.8 of the zoning ordinance 1443, parking in the front yard setback is not permitted. So, tonight we are here, Manila is requesting a variance to allow parking in the front yard setback. Now, Section 510.3, variances of the ordinance, indicates the zoning hearing board has the power to grant a variance provided the following findings are made relevant in the case. And I'll read those 5. That there are unique physical circumstances or conditions, including irregularity, narrowness, or shallowness of lot size or shape, or exceptional topographical or other physical condition peculiar to the particular property, and that the unnecessary hardship is due to such conditions and not the circumstances or conditions generally created by the provisions of the ordinance in the district in which the property is located. Second, that because of such physical circumstances or conditions, there is no possibility that the property can be developed in strict conformity with the provisions of this zoning ordinance, and that the authorization of a variance is therefore necessary to enable the reasonable use of such property. 3, that such unnecessary hardship has not been created by the appellant. 4, that the variance, if authorized, will not alter the essential character of the neighborhood or district in which the property is located, nor substantially or permanently impair the appropriate use or development of adjacent property, nor be detrimental to the public welfare. And lastly, number 5, that the variance, if authorized, will represent the minimum variance that will afford relief and will represent the least modification possible of the regulation in issue.
Now, I'll go over some discussion here as to why we believe that we're meeting all of those 5 items. Number one, there are unique physical circumstances or conditions associated with the property, which include the relative narrow dimensions of the developable portion of the property, the presence of Thompson Run and its 100-year floodplain along the west side. The area between the western side of the proposed development and Thompson Run is known as a riparian buffer. That would be the area from here to here. Riparian buffers are natural or man-made vegetated and landscaped areas that filter stormwater runoff prior to entering a stream. In Monroeville's comments from review of the land development plan, the importance of maintaining a riparian buffer was stressed. As a result, Manila is significantly increasing the size of the riparian buffer by proposing that the entire length of the west side of the project be landscaped with grass, shrubs, and vegetation. And that's extending from the southern all the way up to the northern side. The additional parking spaces needed for Building 6 could be placed along the southwestern side of the site. However, that would reduce the proposed riparian buffer area. As a result, the spaces are proposed to be located in the front yard setback between the eastern drive aisle and Thompson Run Road, and west of the PennDOT right-of-way. Finally, while parking spaces could be provided along the north side of Building 6, it would result in the potential to block lessees of units in Building 5 from being able to park in front of their unit and still provide for other vehicles to pass. Number 2, while the property could be developed in conformance with the ordinances, Manila believes that it would be better to site the parking spaces in the front yard setback and maximize the area of riparian buffer than to locate the parking spaces along the west side of the site and decrease the proposed riparian buffer. Furthermore, the proposed location of the parking spaces within the front yard setback places the spaces closer to Building 6. Number 3, the unnecessary hardship has not been created by the appellant. The hardship is the relatively narrow width of the developable portion of the property and the presence of Thompson Run and its 100-year floodplain located along the west side of the site. Number 4, the parking spaces proposed to be sited in the front yard setback are located along Thompson Run Road at about the north-south midpoint of the property. Adjacent property to the west in the borough of Penn Hills is also owned by Mr. and Mrs. Scoretti. However, it's very steep to the point of being undevelopable. To the east of Thompson Run Road, the potential for additional development of property is minimal, considering the presence of a railroad track, power line right-of-way, and an existing single-family home residential development. And these homes are over 300 feet to the east of and about 150 feet above Thompson Run Road. Property to the north has already been developed, and the location of the proposed 6 spaces is over 550 feet north of the southern property line. The 6 parking spaces are not located within the right-of-way of Thompson Run Road, and access to the site will only be available to lessees of the self-storage rental space. That is, the site is not going to be open to free public access. As a result, and if authorized, parking in the front yard setback, just 6 spaces, will not alter the essential character of the neighborhood, nor will it impair appropriate use or development of adjacent property, nor be detrimental to the public welfare. And finally, number 5, the requested variance represents the minimum variance that will afford relief and represents the least modification possible of the regulation in issue. Allowing parking in the front yard setback along Thompson Run Road will provide the necessary parking spaces for Building 6 and at the same time preserve the valuable proposed riparian buffer. And I'd be happy to take any questions or if you'd like to go to the other one and then consider them after both presentations, that's up to you.
You have another presentation to give.
Yes,
Okay, well, let's do that.
okay. So you've heard the description of the property. I won't go back through that. You've heard the 5 things that we need to demonstrate. This variance, we're requesting a reduction in the number of parking spaces. As I described, Monroeville has determined that parking for the 3-story climate-controlled Building 6 should conform to the requirements for warehouses. This section requires that parking be provided at the rate of 2,000 square feet of gross floor area. Building 6 being 30,000 square feet total on 3 floors, 15 spaces would be required. Manila is requesting a variance to reduce the number of parking spaces from 15 to 10, reduction of 5. The primary reason for requesting this variance is that self-storage facilities aren't the same as warehouses from a parking perspective. Warehouses, lose my spot here. Warehouses typically have a constant stream of visitors and workers throughout the day. Self-storage facilities, once full, generate very little traffic. The trip generation analysis prepared for the project estimates that the maximum peak hourly traffic to the entire site will be 2 trips in the morning and 3 trips in the evening. As a result, it is unlikely that even 10 parking spaces will be occupied at one time, let alone 15. And then the following, I will go through the 5 items for this one. Number 1 is very simple. There are unique physical circumstances or conditions associated with the property, including the relatively narrow dimension of the developable portion of the site and the presence of Thompson Run and the 100-year floodplain along the west side. The area between the western side of the proposed development, Thompson Run, is the riparian buffer that we've described. I mentioned again in Monroeville's review comments of the land development plan, they stressed the importance of maintaining riparian buffer. And in fact, in this case, we're increasing significantly the riparian buffer. The additional parking spaces needed for Building 6 could be placed along the west side of the site. However, that would significantly reduce the proposed riparian buffer area. Some of the parking space could be brought along the north side of Building 6. However, that would result in the potential to block lessees of units in Building 5 from being able to park in front of their unit. Rather than reduce the size of the riparian buffer, Manila is requesting a reduction in the number of spaces by 5. And as we mentioned under the previous one, also citing those in the front yard setback. Number 2, while the property could be developed in conformance with the ordinances, Manila believes that it would be better to reduce the number of required parking spaces rather than to site them along the west side of the site and decrease the proposed riparian buffer area. Furthermore, citing the additional space along the west side of the site puts the spaces further away from Building 6. Again, the unnecessary hardship has not been created by the appellant. The hardship is the relatively narrow width of the developable proportions of the parcel and the presence of Thompson Run and the 100-year floodplain located along the west side of the site. Considering the location of the proposed self-storage facility, approval of this variance request will not alter the character of the neighborhood, impair the use or development of adjacent property, or be detrimental to the public welfare. Even reducing the number of spaces for Building 6 from 15 to 10 will still provide 5 times the number of spaces necessary to meet the estimated maximum peak daily trips expected to the entire facility. The requested variance represents the minimum variance that will afford relief and represents the least modification possible of the regulation in issue. Reducing the number of required parking spaces from 15 to 10 still provides sufficient parking spaces for Building 6 based on the estimated trip generation numbers and at the same time will preserve the valuable riparian buffer expansion. I'd be happy to answer any question you might have.
Does the board have any questions?
Sir, are there any full-time staff on site?
There will be, in Phase 2 in the building, there will be one person there during the day.
And it's mostly for Building 6?
Yes.
And is there an elevator in Building 6?
Yes.
Okay, and how about a loading dock?
Any loading docks would be internal to the building. In other words, they're not going to be poking out. There's no reason for a truck to, come in and back up into the building.
Into Building 6?
Correct.
Okay.
The majority of the vehicles are going to be cars, but you may have like U-Haul box trucks called single-unit trucks from time to time.
And the parking spaces you have noted on the plan, they're going to be painted on the pavement?
Yes.
But if you happen to have a unit, there's the unit's open right to the side of the car.
Yeah, you're referring to the ones along here?
Correct.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not an issue if you have somebody trying to unload their unit on this side, and then somebody wants to get on their unit on this side, as far as parking on opposite sides and bottlenecking the driveway?
Well, so you're talking about somebody parking, well, I would find it highly unlikely that two people would be, one person would be parking here and another, say, here, and a person who's not going to park here. We'd have parking spaces along here. I would find it highly unlikely that if I'm coming into a unit over here and I'm parking here, that somebody would come along and want to get into the unit next to me. Now, if that does happen, I'm sure the person would move their
Okay.
car.
Very fine, thank you.
So in between it's not a one-way in between the buildings going from a traffic standpoint?
That's correct.
So they're both one, okay.
But that's why we're leaving, even if you have a car parked there, you could come in and go, there's 15
Come
feet
around the other way.
remaining wider than an interstate lane.
Yeah.
On the lanes, on the parking spots that you want us to give up for you, you're taking away 5?
Correct.
How many handicap spaces does that get rid of?
Well, we're not removing any handicap spot. We have,
There's still two.
we have 2 provided at the corner of the building.
Okay, thank you.
Is this key accessible, or swipe a card to get into a gate that locks?
Yeah, there'll be I have to admit that this was the originally approved driveway from Thompson Run Road in December, and there were some comments from Paul and company, which I agreed with in hindsight, should have done a little differently, that there may be a problem with queuing here. So we met with PennDOT in early December, and we just recently, actually, the other day, submitted a highway occupancy permit application to request a driveway from Fry Road. Now, in this situation, we have the fence. There'll be a fence that would come along over, and it's 40 feet from Fry, so there's plenty of room for 2 vehicles to queue. And the long way to answer your question, yes, there would be a car greeter there.
Any other questions from the board?
Is it going to be accessible 24/7?
No. The hours are going to be, pardon me, were they 8 to 10?
Accessible 6 a.m. to 10 p.m.
6 to 10. Same as the other ones, and that was a comment that came in from review of the land development plan. And so we are being consistent on the operating hours with other units or other facilities.
Paul, any comments from anybody?
I have received none.
Is there anybody in the audience that'd like to come forward? Okay, seeing none. And are there no further questions from the board?
Nope.
I'll entertain a motion on, let's do 22-3A.
Correct.
I'll make the motion to approve.
I'll second it.
Moved and seconded on 22-3A. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Okay, number 3 passes. Now we'll go to
22-4.
There it is here, yeah. Same thing.
I'll make a
No.
motion to approve.
Okay, motion to approve on 22,
4,
24A.
22-4A.
22-4A.
I second that motion.
Moved and seconded. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The motion carries.
Thank you
Good
very
luck.
much for your consideration.
Enjoy the rest of the evening.
Thank you.
You're not putting a 6-foot-high fence and everything.
It's actually 8, but, and guard
Those are
dogs, the whole
permitted, yeah.
deal.
Put that side on Penn Hills.
Put down the side.
Okay, anybody else like to leave? Now go ahead. We'll hold off for you.
Thank you. Be careful out there.
Thank you, board.
Some bedside reading here, Paul.
Can't wait.
Okay, Paul, if you would, please.
Okay, the last item, number 5, 22-5-A, Henderson. Applicant requests a variance from Table 201A, permitted uses, conditional uses, yard and area requirements of the Monroeville zoning ordinance number 1443 as amended, to construct a residential home that will encroach 10 feet into the required 30-foot front yard building setback along Jamison Lane. The property address is 166 Jamison Lane, tax parcel 639M097 in the R2 one-family residential zoning district.
Okay, the applicant is present.
I am,
Would you state your name for the secretary, please?
absolutely. Kimberly Henderson, that's with an H.
Okay, would you raise your right hand? Do you swear the testimony you're about to give this board this evening shall be the whole truth and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you. Go ahead.
Okay. Well, my husband and I are super excited. We are moving out of the city. We are attempting to build a house on Jamison Lane. We bought the property, and that's our access. This is kind of what the house will look like. I don't have a big presentation like the other gentleman
That's
did.
okay.
great.
Okay, he did a fantastic job. Had I known, I would have studied up. But let's see here. So what we did was, there is a, where's my stuff? There is a, what is that thing called? No, what is it
You
called?
want this one?
Do you need-
No, I don't need that.
Okay.
There's a something in the back of my yard. What's the name of it? Easement. Yes, that's it. There's an easement in the backyard, and we knew about this. It's 15 foot. When we went to our builders, which is Schumacher, we designed our house to fit inside the requirements. What we didn't know was I can't find my pictures. What we didn't know is that the manhole is, my understanding, it should be in the middle of the easement, right, 7.5 feet? So it's not even in the easement. It's like 2.5 feet out of the easement. So in essence, we're asking for a variance to move the house up 10 feet. Oh, here it is. So, you see that?
Give him a second.
Okay. Yeah, that's where it is. When the surveyor went to stake it, the little thing that says S where the MH is, that's where the manhole is. You can see where the setback is and how it's staked.
Okay.
And then, this is with the variance, how it would look. And then I'm gonna sit down because I can't explain anything else to you.
Just,
And,
you're doing a fine
Just
job.
point out where the easement is and where
okay, because I'm
Jamison
like, I
Lane-
can't point anything.
and
Okay.
where Jamison Lane is.
Okay, so let me put this one back up here. So this is Jamison Lane, and you can see it's in blue, the 30-foot setback here, and then the 40-foot setback and the 10-foot. This is where the manhole is. Okay. And it's right at the butt of the house, so I guess they need more room to excavate
You're
down.
pulling the house forward.
Yes, sir. Yep. And,
Gotcha.
okay, all right.
That was easy.
Oh, was that?
That was easy. Good job.
Right.
Keep it simple.
Okay, right, that's one of my philosophies as well. And that's all I have.
Thank
I don't
you.
know, do you need Scott to speak as well?
He chooses to.
He's here.
Okay. All right, get on.
Sign in, please.
Yes, sir.
State your name for the secretary.
Scott Lantz, Lantz, with Schumacher Homes.
Okay, would you raise your hand? Thank you. Do you swear the testimony you're about to give this board this evening shall be the whole truth and nothing but the truth?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Go ahead.
Thank you. So yes, as Kimberly said, one of the things when we went out there to do our first initial site look at the property, we noticed that the easement was very tight, so we designed the house to fit in the easement. Once we had our surveyor come out and lay the house out, we noticed that the manhole was only 5 feet off of the corner of the property. Doing some investigation, that manhole was 17 feet deep. If we put our footer in that area, it's gonna put a lot of undue pressure on the manhole and potentially the line underneath it. So what we're proposing is pulling the house up 10 feet. We're still gonna have some bad soil conditions in that property on the right-hand side because of how deep the manhole is, but we're trying to pull that up as, you know, as much as we can to help eliminate the pressure on the manhole and on the line down below. So that's why we're requesting a 10-foot reduction in the front yard setback.
Have you come in contact with the water authority too?
We've done a PA1 call already. We've talked to everybody on, we've talked to the sewer authority multiple times on that. Today we actually brought the tap up out of the ground because of 17 feet. We want to do that before we even constructed the house, so we're not putting somebody down in a deep hole with a structure around it.
Any comments, Paul, from anybody?
No comments.
Thank you. Anybody in the audience wish to come forward?
Good.
Okay.
Thank you.
Seeing none. Any further questions from the board?
Nope.
Okay, I'll entertain a motion.
I'd like to make a motion to approve it.
I'll make a motion to second.
Moved and seconded. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Good luck to you.
Good luck, folks. Welcome. Welcome to the neighborhood.
Oh, thank you.
Looks like a nice house.
No fence.
Thank you, and thank you for taking my keys early. I honestly appreciate it.
Yeah, no fences, please.
Okay.
No 6-footers anyway.
Wait a minute, I do have a question though, if you guys have just a minute. We could put a fence in the backyard, right?
We could talk about that after the meeting.
Okay. I'm like, you could put a fence in the backyard. Thank you, guys. If not, no issue.
Make a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn. Have a second?
Second.
All motion to adjourn the meeting is adjourned. Thank you.
Thank